fingerprints for the main suspect in the New Zealand mosque massacre. What we're learning about the man accused of New Zealand's worst mass shooting ever. His trail of terror, gunning down almost 50 people at 2 mosques.
I can tell you one thing right now. Our gun laws will change.
The vow from the Prime Minister and the tightened security here at home.
Breaking overnight Las Vegas shooting. Authorities exchanging gunfire with a man trying to rob the Bellagio casino. An officer and the suspect shot. What police are saying this morning.
Panic at the mall. Look at this. Shoppers sent running at a high-end mall in Los Angeles after reports of a man with a gun.
Just tell everyone, just run.
The hunt for this man right now.
Shooting investigation. New details on the reputed mob boss gunned down outside his home.
This was an assassination.
The video evidence. Did Frankie Boy Cali know his killer?
Eggs over uneasy. The new study looking at how they could impact your health. What you need to know before you sit down to breakfast.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, everyone. Let's get right to our top story, the latest on the mosque massacres that have really shaken New Zealand and the entire world.
There is a 28-year-old suspect, an avowed white supremacist, making his first court appearance. His face blurred according to local laws.
Meanwhile, memorials overnight for the victims. 49 people, both adults and children, gunned down while at prayer. We begin our coverage with ABC's Will Carr, who's right there on the ground in Christchurch, New Zealand. Will, good morning.
Whit, New Zealand is still on high alert this morning. Before this, the worst thing that anybody around here remembers happening was a cluster of earthquakes back in 2010 and 2011. The difference, they say, those earthquakes were an act of Mother Nature. This was an act of evil.
The man accused of the worst mass shooting in New Zealand history appearing in court for the first time. His face is blurred per local law, but his alleged crimes are clear. Wearing all black, clad in a helmet and a bulletproof vest, the suspect allegedly entered the Al Noor Mosque in the city of Christchurch, ruthlessly opening fire during a packed Friday prayer service before driving to his next target, the Linwood Mosque, 3 miles away.
People just frightened in terror, just devastated, just running for their lives. It just felt like, you're in a traumatic movie or like a horror movie. People getting slaughtered, people just treated like animals.
Police say 36 minutes after receiving that fateful call at 1:42 p.m., the suspect was taken into custody.
So our staff, who were well equipped, did engage with that person and again put themselves in real danger to keep the community safe from further harm.
There were 2 other firearms in the vehicle that the offender was in, and it absolutely was his intention to continue with his attack.
Authorities say that suspect and possibly more, killing almost 50 men, women, and children, injuring dozens more. The terror attack overwhelming the local hospital in a nation unaccustomed to mass shootings.
It's unusual for surgeons in this part of the world to deal with gunshot wounds.
Authorities say Brenton Tarrant, a self-proclaimed racist with a deep hatred for immigrants, was heavily armed with semi-automatic weapons and left IEDs behind.
I can tell you one thing right now. Our gun laws will change.
President Trump vowing to help in any way possible.
I told the Prime Minister that the United States is with them all the way. 100%, whatever they need, we will be there.
While authorities are still pouring through a live stream recording of the attack and a lengthy, hate-filled message posted online by someone purporting to be the suspect.
Police are aware of distressing material relating to this event being online.
This shattered community is praying.
That there is peace within our community, Lord.
Did you ever imagine that a shooting like this could play out here in New Zealand?
No, never. I mean, I don't think I'd be alive to witness one ever.
Authorities arrested 4 people in all. They've already released 1 and are trying to figure out if there's a connection between the other 2. New Zealand does not have the death penalty, and people here are trying to wrap their minds around a proper penalty for an attack of this magnitude. Eva.
All right, Will Carr, thank you. The suspect's manifesto praised President Trump as a symbol of white identity. The president was asked about the threat of white nationalism by our own Terry Moran during an event in the Oval Office on Friday.
You see today white nationalism as a rising threat around the world.
I don't really. I think it's a small group of people that have very, very serious problems. I guess if you look at what happened in New Zealand, perhaps that's a case. I don't know enough about it yet. They're just learning about the person and the people involved. But it's certainly a terrible thing. Terrible thing. Yes?
Well, the Prime Minister of New Zealand was later asked if she agreed with President Trump's assessment of white nationalism, and she flatly responded no. Joining us to talk about this is John Cohen, former counterterrorism coordinator of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. First, John, we hear these terms a lot. What exactly is white supremacy or white nationalism?
Yeah, people who subscribe to the white nationalistic or white supremacist beliefs, they believe white people of European descent are superior to non-whites. And further, they believe that society is better when white people live separate from non-whites. And further, they tend to believe that the problems of society, whether it be crime, whether it be terrorism, whether it be economic issues, are due to non-whites, whether they be Jews or Muslims or other ethnic minorities, immigrants, are allowed to live together with white people.
We've seen more and more of these displays in the past several years. Charlottesville, the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting. We're seeing this both here in the U.S. and all across Europe. What is behind this recent rise?
Well, there is a rise, and there's a rise in public expression of white supremacist beliefs. It's come out of the shadows. It's been very public, whether it's in people running for office espousing those views or protests. But we've also seen a rise in violence by people who subscribe to these beliefs, whether it's hate crimes or targeted attacks against houses of worship or other locations. The rise is fueled by two general factors. One, the increased use of social media and the internet. It is interconnecting people who in the past were separated by geography, puts like-minded people in touch with each other where they can support each other and validate each other's views. They can share violent material. And quite frankly, and this is what has law enforcement very concerned, many of the themes and even the language that's used by white supremacist leaders have found its way into our mainstream political discourse. We now have elected officials in this country who use the same words that white supremacist leaders have used in the past when talking about immigrants or other issues with our society. And so that is listened, those words are heard by white supremacists, and those white supremacists who are predisposed to violence feel justified in those violent beliefs.
All right, John Cohen, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, we really appreciate that analysis from John Cohen on a Saturday morning. We are going to move on now, though, to a story that broke overnight. An armed man walking into the Bellagio Hotel demanding money.
And it led to gunfire outside the famed Las Vegas Hotel and Casino. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez joining us live with how this all played out. Marcy, good morning.
Whit, good morning. Absolute panic in Vegas on a busy Friday night as that attempted robbery at the Bellagio turned into a shootout with police. Investigators say it all started when an armed man walked in and demanded money from a cashier in the poker section of the casino. They say he then ran, made it outside to the valet area, and tried to carjack someone who had just pulled in. Officers were right there, and as they approached, investigators say the man opened fire, shooting one of the officers. Another returned fire, hitting the suspect. Both were rushed to a hospital. Incredibly, that officer has already been released because he was hit in his bulletproof vest, which officials there say likely saved his life. The suspect, however, is in critical condition, and right now police are interviewing witnesses. They're also looking through body cam footage and surveillance video, and the casino was full of people at the time, so you can just imagine how frightening this must have been. Eva?
Absolutely terrifying for all of those people inside. Thanks, Marcy. Now to the new battle ahead for President Trump's border wall.
The stakes have been raised after he used his veto pen for the very first time on Friday, rejecting a bipartisan rebuke of his use of an emergency declaration to get money to fund the wall. So let's go to ABC News White House correspondent Tara Palmieri. Tara, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan. It was the first challenge against the emergency declaration, and it was supported by members of his own party. But now the challenges are piling up as more and more lawsuits are filed. This morning, President Trump's defiant veto declaration under fire as the legal battle over border wall funding now heads to the courts.
I will be signing and issuing a formal veto of this reckless resolution, and that's what it was.
The president dealt a stunning rebuke when 12 Senate Republicans, including Marco Rubio, Rand Paul, and Mitt Romney, crossed party lines to vote in favor of a resolution terminating his emergency declaration.
Congress has the freedom to pass this resolution, and I have the duty to veto it, and I'm very proud to veto it.
Those Republican lawmakers calling the declaration an overreach of executive power by allowing the president to bypass Congress and access billions of dollars in military and treasury funds to build the wall.
It is a tremendous crisis. People hate the word invasion, but that's what it is. It's an invasion of drugs and criminals and people.
President Trump justifying his decision after Congress denied his request of $5.7 billion for a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. But the legal fight is just beginning.
I think we're going to win this court case, but just in the facts alone, there is no national emergency.
Attorney General Bill Barr insisting they are on solid legal ground.
Mr. President, your declaration of an emergency on the southern border was clearly authorized under the law.
The president still not backing down, now asking for even more money for the border wall in his latest budget request of $8.6 billion. The president's veto will face another hurdle when the House votes in the coming weeks on whether to override it. But it's highly unlikely that will happen because you need 2/3 majority in the House and Senate to do so. And only 13 House Republicans broke with the White House to pass this bill. What?
All right, Tara, we'll stay on top of that. Thank you. Meantime, Senator Bernie Sanders suffering a minor head injury. The Democratic presidential candidate seen with a bandage on his head. He says he cut it on the edge of a glass shower door. It needed 7 stitches to close that wound. Sanders is not expected to miss any events because of the injury.
Yeah, looks bad down there. Also on the campaign front, Beto O'Rourke is heading to Wisconsin this weekend. This will be O'Rourke's second visit to Madison in the last few weeks after he met with University of Wisconsin students in February. The Democratic candidate emphasizing the importance of Wisconsin in the 2020 race. On Monday, Democrats announced they will be holding their convention in Milwaukee.
It was a key state in 2016. So much to talk about here when it comes to politics. So let's go to Texas, home of Beto O'Rourke, and our chief political analyst, Matthew Dowd. Matthew, good morning to you. Let me ask you about another potential 2020 candidate, Joe Biden, the former vice president. He is set to appear at a big political event tonight in his home state of Delaware. So do you think he's going to run? And if he does, can he win the nomination?
Well, you've probably seen the movie Everest, the true story of Beck Weathers, is when you think about Joe Biden and he's saying that he's 95% there, like Everest, the last couple hundred feet are the hardest part and the most difficult, and that's where most people stop. And I think he's still likely to get into this race. But I think those last couple hundred feet are the tough part in it. So I think he's obviously going through this. He has everything in order, but I think he's still deciding on this. If he gets in, he and Bernie Sanders are the front runners.
But there's so much enthusiasm on the left for having a person of color or a female candidate this year, and yet the front runners are Bernie and Biden. Do you think they'll be able to maintain that status, especially given the fact that front runners at this point often aren't the front runners by the time we get to the convention?
Well, you know, Dan, though Iowa and New Hampshire are a little less than a year away, the first real primary is in June when the debates start, and then there's a series of debates. There's going to be 7 or 8 debates before the Iowa and New Hampshire caucuses. That's really the test. Most of why Bernie and Biden are leading is driven by name ID, because most of the others aren't known as well. So I think it's a question of the lasting power and the pressure on them. Can they perform at the debates, Bernie and Biden? And do they have the staying power for the next 11 or 12 months?
Matt, let me loop back, if I may, to the mass shooting, the massacres in New Zealand. Shootings like this often become politicized, and this morning we've got some criticizing President Trump for not going far enough to denounce white supremacy. Do you think that's a fair critique, or are people politicizing this tragedy?
Well, I think it's both. I think obviously this is politics, and what we do for the common good, and these kind of tragic events, there is a political response needed. So it's both political, and people can make political criticisms. But I think much of the criticism that the president's faced in this is in many ways justified. Of course, the monster in New Zealand is responsible for what happened, awful for the killings and all of that. But we have to all ask ourselves, and the president, I think, it should take some time, I don't know if he will, and look in the mirror and sort of ask himself, are the words he used where he's pushed fear of Muslims? Is the word he pushed a Muslim ban? Is all of the things he's pushed at different groups, immigrants, refugees, calling things invasions, do they foment a hate in this country where then you become, by the use of your words, in many ways complicit in what the actions of a crazy person does in some jurisdiction? So I think the president ought to take some time and reflect on that. He doesn't have responsibility for the shooting, but he ought to look and see if he does have some accountability and the language he's used and what he's done that have allowed people to have that permission to do these awful things.
Matthew Dowd, so many complex questions on this Saturday morning. We really appreciate your analysis. Thanks again, Matt.
Well, now to a newly released body cam video showing the moment after police captured suspected Florida school shooter Nicholas Cruz. Now, Cruz can be heard talking about voices and demons, as well as crying after he was taken down. 17 people were killed when he allegedly opened fire inside Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in February of 2018.
There are new wrinkles this morning in the murder of a reputed crime family boss right outside of his home here in New York City.
Surveillance cameras said to be holding critical clues into who gunned down the alleged mobster in a hail of bullets.
This morning, detectives now combing through new evidence in the suspected mob hit on Francesco Frankie Boy Cali, the purported crime boss of the notorious Gambino family.
Confirm male shot. They're going to bus, get a haircut, ASAP. Get a rush on the bus.
Investigators analyzing grainy surveillance video that they say shows Cali possibly falling for a trap.
He was completely at ease and wasn't expecting this at all. This was an assassination. There's no question.
The 53-year-old's grave final moments illustrated by these bloody handprints on his SUV. But video evidence may give police insight into the nature of the killing and the perpetrator.
With digital format that most homeowners have, we'll be able to get a picture of him.
Sources say the shooter intentionally slammed his blue pickup truck into Cali's parked car sitting outside of his home on Staten Island.
Yeah, there's a blue pickup truck that's in the area.
The crash catching Frankie Boy Cali's attention, luring him outside. Surveillance video even showing Cali shaking hands with his killer.
Everybody believes right now this is a ruse to get him out of the house.
But when Cali's back was turned, sources tell ABC News the shooter opened fire with a 9mm. Cali, succumbing to his injuries, died at the hospital. The man who followed in the footsteps of the infamous John Gotti, now suspected to be New York's first major mafia hit victim in 3 decades.
And police are not releasing that grainy surveillance video because sources tell us it doesn't show a clear image of the shooter. They're still reviewing other videos from the neighborhood, and they also believe the shooter was well trained based on the way he pulled out his 9mm, holding it with 2 hands as he opened fire. But this raising a lot of questions among law enforcement here in New York about what it means. Is this an isolated sanctioned hit, or could it be the start of a new mafia war? They don't know the answer
We
yet.
haven't seen one for a long time.
Exactly.
Let's hope it's not that.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Whit. Well, in Nebraska, the Cooper nuclear power plant bracing for possible flooding along the Missouri River. That flooding caused by melting snow, ice jams, and recent rain. Crews securing the plant, placing thousands of sandbags around it. Authorities say there is no threat to anyone in the Brownville area.
All right, let's talk about the weather. We have Sam Champion in for Rob this morning, bringing a little bit of sunshine to our area.
Yeah.
However, I mean, the rest of the country dealing with some major issues.
Flooding is our problem on the board today. So we're going to show you some. I've got 3 pieces of video I want to show you just to show you how intense it is in the plains in the upper Midwest. So take a look at Arlington, Nebraska. Here, the governor of Nebraska decided to go up and see the flooding that's facing his state, and take a look at that. This is, now I know we see a lot of spring flooding in this area year to year, but this is historic levels here, and it's water's touching places that it hasn't been before. We've had so much snow, the ground's still frozen, but the snow's melting. Any rain you put on top of that, it runs away as well. Take a look at this little town in Howard County, Nebraska. 90% of the people in this town had to be evacuated. And look, watch that water just kind of move through the streets like that. And then we've got one more to show you just that there are still water rescues going on. This is in Wisconsin as these folks get ready to mount a water rescue in those areas. The flooding, and you can see how broad of an area it is from Omaha to Milwaukee to Chicago, a little bit north of Chicago into Green Bay. This flooding stays in place for days now. It's just not going to go away for a while. The pattern is quiet. This is what we've had the last 2 weeks. Bad weather across the nation. Now look at this. When you see that nice area of high pressure settle in the middle, this is good weather across the nation for the next couple of days anyway. That's the weather around the nation. Here's what you can expect this morning.
Hello and good morning, Washington. A lot cooler today. We'll have some breezy winds as well behind yesterday's cold front. 55 degrees, winds out of the northwest 10 to 20 miles per hour.